Ah, you guys couldn't even hear me there. There we go. Okay, for those of you that missed my guitar intro, it was great. It was a great guitar intro. I was just saying how the so I'm not the guy that's totally at the lunch. What's up, Bobby? I see you in there. This is going to be an interesting discussion today. For those of you that are in the LA area or want to come to see me live on August 20th, I'll be in Los Angeles at the Wilshire Ebell Theater. But before then, in Seattle, for those of you that live up in the Great Northwest, come out to the Neptune Theater. I will be performing there on the 6th of August. And that's going to be a really fun time. Can't wait for those two shows. It's going to be great. Okay, so I've talked a lot in the last couple videos about old music from the 80s, because it's topping the charts. And it's really fascinating to read some of the comments in the comment section here, which I'm going to read some of them to you. Now, a lot of the people that, some of my younger audience, like my kids, no, I'm just kidding. Actually, no, that's not true. Yeah. So I don't know if they know the old guy yells at cloud analogy yet or not. They know the old guy's their dad analogy. I remember one time I was taking my daughter Layla. I'm going to digress here. I was taking her to the roller skating party at school this last year when she was 8, before she turned 9, and I said, so Layla, is you think there's going to be any dads older than me there? And she goes, well, there could be one that's 70. I thought, ouch, jeez. And she said, I'm just kidding. Okay, so I want to talk about this, about why are there two songs at the top of the charts, or in the top 10 of the pop charts, one being Kate Bush, one being Metallica, but really talk about kind of the general state of music. Was music really better back in the day? Okay, and talk about the importance of originality in music, and yet staying within the staying within genres, okay? Like what is popular music? A lot of people say to me, Rick, that's not what's on the top 10 on Spotify, because that's all paid for by the labels. It's like the labels are not paying money to be at the top of Spotify so they can make less money, okay? I'm not sure. I don't understand that, because they make money from streams, but they're going to spend money to get to the top. No, all of these things are coming from TikTok, really. They're coming from other places. This is why they're at the top. And I'm going to get back to that. And why you should really be improving yourself if you're a songwriter out nowadays, musician, why you should be improving yourself as a musician, learning how to write songs, learning how to write better songs, learning how to learn from things and borrow ideas and use them in your contemporary music, right? So there's two schools of thought here. One school of thought is that we live in the best time ever because there is no barrier to entry to get distribution, right? So I can come on here and there's 1,200 people on here right now, okay? I didn't announce this or anything, but because my channel has 3 million people, they see a title here, they might be interested in watching, and they come on, they click, say, what's Rick talking about? The barrier entry here was me starting to make videos on YouTube and then gaining a following. And then all of a sudden, once you have a following, people will come back if they like your content. Okay. If I'm a new songwriter and I just got Fruity Loops or just got Logic or whatever on my new Mac computer, I download a loop from Splice, I make up a song around this, and 2 hours later I put it up on TikTok and it goes viral and it gets 1 billion views. And then next thing you know, I've got 5 million followers on Spotify and I'm making a ton of money. Okay. Is that good? Yeah. I mean, a lot of people say that, no, this is amazing. You don't need to go through the gatekeepers of being on a major label, right? So that's a very good thing. It's a great thing. One of the best things. But the downside of that is this. I don't have to get in a band and become really good so that I can go through 5 bands before I get in a band where I'm with a group of people that can really play well live, have grown a huge following, have done all these showcases for labels that are really high pressure things. And then somebody at a label not only decides to sign my band, but decides that finds a good producer for us to work with. We make a great record, and then they decide to put money into it, and it becomes a big record. And you're Nirvana, or you're Linkin Park, or you're Beyonce, or you're Chris Stapleton, right? So that's another way. This is kind of the way of the past, or you're the Police, or you're Rage Against the Machine, or you're Pearl Jam, or you're The Cure, or you are Kate Bush and you get a recording to someone like David Gilmour, right? So these are ways that people would get record deals in the past. It would go through filters. These are people that are, they could be people that are famous musicians. Nirvana got known because not just from having Bleach, but because Sonic Youth told Gary Gersh, Sonic Youth was on Geffen, told Sonic Youth about Nirvana. Okay, now a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, boomer this, boomer that." Whatever. It doesn't matter about boomer stuff. I am legitimately a boomer. I was born in 1962, so boomer thing does not affect me. Okay, so and maybe and the idea that music today. Okay, well, Rick, you're not listening to the right music. I'm a huge supporter of contemporary music. As you can see on my channel, I have had many, and I always bring this up, progressive metal bands, because I think that this genre of music is really great, and I have been behind it for years on my channel. But the people that I've had on here, from Tosin, Animals as Leaders, Pliny, Tim, and the guys from Polyphia, Misha, and the guys from Periphery, all the different progressive metal bands that I've championed on my channel. To me, it's a very vibrant, one of the most vibrant contemporary music styles that does really well. When I go to the Masquerade here in town and I go see Animals as Leaders, it's sold out. When I saw Pliny was pretty much sold out. We went to see Periphery, right, Billy?
We went to see Animals.
We went to see Animals. We saw Periphery, and it was packed. Was Periphery opening? No, Polyphia was opening for Periphery.
No.
Polyphia was headlining, right?
Yes.
We've been to many shows. Billy and I have been to many of these shows of all these different bands, but the last 2 shows were Animals, but Animals was in Buckhead. Anyways, the places were packed, okay? This very vibrant contemporary music scene, progressive metal, is great. Now, people that watched my particular video that I just put out on the top 10 of Spotify, and I won't make any more of those videos, okay? We're kind of past that. I did it. The last one I did on the pop charts was last year in August, okay? But before we go on, I want to remind people, if you're new here or a returning viewer, hit the subscribe button. And we've just kind of reactivated my rickbeato.com. It's the first time it's actually been up in months now. And we have new product bundles, okay? So that you can buy things and get a tremendous savings without having to do discount codes. We have the Ultimate Guitar Bundle, which is my Beato book, Quick Lessons Pro. We have the Complete Theory Bundle, which is my Beato book and ear training. Go to my website, rickbeato.com. That's where you find stuff now. You can go to the other sites if you're interested in finding out more details about each particular thing. But you buy them on there, and you get massive discounts by buying them in bundles. Okay, let me read you a few comments from the comment stream. This is literally these are 3 comments, or 2 comments that are 2 apart in the comment stream from the video yesterday, a day before yesterday. This guy Phil says, depressing. The downside of the technically savvy generation is the rapid production of high volumes of spray and pray, low effort content. I'm loath to call it music. It's all about the likes and monetization, not about producing anything of enduring quality. Shame. And then 2 comments later, most artists nowadays have nothing to say. And people are going to say, oh, these are boomers. This is boomer syndrome. But I don't know how old these people are. Most artists nowadays have nothing to say, have no talent, don't play instruments, can't sing, use samples, use autotune, don't want to work for anything, use game shows as an example of what hard work is. Gee, I can't imagine why it took 11 people to write one horrible Justin Bieber song. Oh, boy. Well, okay, so that was another comment. Then I go to my my good friend Ted Joya's latest post on his Substack. If you guys don't read Ted Joya, Ted is amazing. I had him on my channel for a podcast interview, and he has a new Substack out, and it's called "The New Numbers on Music Consumption Are Very Ugly." And he says it's not just the dominance of old songs; the whole creative culture is losing its ability to innovate. But why? And he talks about how it's not just in the tech industry. He says, even in arts and entertainment, businesses require constant infusions of fresh talent and new ways of thinking. It's their lifeblood and oxygen. If they can't or won't find it, stagnation sets in. At this juncture, even major artistic endeavors start to feel anachronistic and backward looking. Could this be happening now in our culture? So he goes on to say, latest report, this comes out from a research outfit called Luminate, which can tell this share of new music versus old music that Ted had talked about in a video I made months ago. And it says, the latest report shows that the consumption of old music grew another 14% during the first half of 2022, while demand for new music declined an additional 1.4%. These old tunes now represent a staggering 72% of the market. And it's likely to get worse when the full year numbers are released, because we're still in the midst of Kate Bush Metallica phenomenon, spurred on by showcasing their older songs and Stranger Things. And then he goes on later on to say, he talks about there's a new Harrison Ford movie coming out. 80-year-old Harrison Ford has a new Indiana Jones movie out. Tom Cruise has the new Top Gun movie out, and Tom is 60 years old. He's my age. And he says just follow dollars, every big budget movie this year is either a reboot, sequel, prequel, remake, or brand extension. Every last one of them. The large investments in music are the acquisition of old publishing catalogs, while almost nothing is spent on developing new artists these days. Okay, so this is very true. This kind of goes back to the whole idea of record labels go to TikTok to figure out who to sign, because they sign things that are already successful. And what are successful? These songs that don't even have anything that changes between the verse and chorus. So I went through this top 10 of the Spotify charts. It started with Master of Puppets, ended with Kate Bush running up that hill. But in between were a bunch of things, with the exception of the Joji, that is, who is it, Filthy Frank, Billy?
Yes.
That was a YouTuber, hasn't put out a video in 4 or 5 years. But actually, I didn't know his channel. Billy knew his channel and had videos pretty much the size of Mr. Beast videos with 40 and 50 million view counts. And I never heard of this person until I played his song. That was a piano song. It was a decent song. So this, getting back to this whole idea of becoming better as a musician. So it used to be that you would weed people out, and in the scene of whatever city you lived in, you would be, this is in rock music, and this just doesn't happen really anymore, but you'd be in a band for a couple of years, and maybe one of the guys was good in the band. Then you would hear somebody in the band that was a great drummer, but the rest of the band wasn't good. Then that guy quits, and then he gets in another band. Or maybe you steal somebody from a band. This always would happen. Then finally, after 4 or 5 different incarnations, you have a band like Nirvana or whoever it is that is a culmination, or Soundgarden, or I always go back to the grunge bands. You have a collection of musicians that are pros that have been in multiple bands. They've done showcases. Most of the people in the band can sing. They can play their instruments really well. When they go into the studio, they don't need anyone to write their songs, nothing like that. This is really the way that it used to be. And then eventually they develop a big enough following, and that live following is what TikTok has become, okay? But these are people that can really perform. I don't know about people that are on TikTok, and thank you, Low Earth Orbit Pilot, very much for that. Appreciate that. Super chat. I don't know people that say, okay, wow, I heard this band on TikTok and they're playing at the blah, blah, blah tonight. Let's go see them. It's going to be like, oh, this band I've heard, oh my God, I saw them when they had, when they drew 500 people. And now they draw 2,000 people. When I moved to Atlanta, there were bands that were local bands that were not signed that could draw 2,000 people to a show. One of them was a band that did get signed called Holly Faith. And my friend Rob, that I made a video about last year, who passed away at the age of 55, diabetes, Rob was the lead singer of the band, and a very dear friend of mine. And all those guys played in other bands before that. And finally they got this band, Holly Faith, and they had a massive following, and they got signed to Epic Records. And they made a record that didn't get pushed by the label, because bands like Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and Nirvana blew up at the same time period and eclipsed them. But they were a band that could draw 2,000 people here in Atlanta. That's a lot of people. I mean, it's really it's incredible to think of groups that could do that. And then when I first started producing back in full time in 99, I worked at my friend Billy's studio, which is probably about 20 minutes from here. And I would work, Billy would engineer and mix all the records. And he had 2 studios in his house. It was a house studio. In the upstairs, he would do primarily rap projects. But the rappers that would come there were Little John, and David Banner, Bone Crusher, Yin Yang Twins, all the big crunk bands that were big, that became big over the next few years. This is 99, and the crunk scene and the idea of these type of drum grooves that use trap music scene was just happening then. Well, fast forward to today, just about every song, other than the songs that sound like 80s remakes, now, I'm not talking about the actual 80s songs. I'm talking about the 80s sounding remakes, like the Harry Styles song sounds like Aha or like whatever. It's totally 80s sounding thing. But the other songs that were hip hop or rap songs had the same hi-hat sounds, the same kick drum sounds, same snare sounds that we've been hearing since I was working and knew all those guys before they became huge rappers back then. And they were working in local studios then with their MPCs, writing lyrics, incredibly creative guys, writing lyrics there on the spot. I would be there while they'd be writing their lyrics. I brought some of them in on some of the projects I did to do raps. And I'd say, and they'd listen to the song. Well, these are rock bands that wanted rap in a song. So I knew all these people. They'd come in. And I'd say like Bone Crusher. I'd say, Bone, we need a thing on this. He goes, okay, play me the track. And Bone would sit on the couch there at Billy's. He'd play the track. He'd listen to the lyrics, what the song's about. He'd hear his section and everything. And he would sit there with his Sharpie and he'd write out and he'd cross it out, work on the verse and everything. And he's like, okay, let's do it. And he'd start and he'd do his first pass, his rap. He goes, oh, let me punch you in the spot there. He goes, now I want to get the feel right. Let me do it again. Okay, this is good. I'd be like, that's amazing. Okay, he goes, let's double this. We'll pan it to this side. Or Billy would say that. Okay, and we'll triple track it. We'll pan it to this side. He'd do it like that. He goes, okay, let's do a couple hype tracks. Then we do some hype tracks where they do hype stuff in the background. Or bring in some of his friends that were there at the studio because they'd be working in the upstairs. They'd come down and do it. And it was really, the whole Atlanta scene there was everybody supported everyone. And it was really, it was such a rich environment, and they were pros. They were all pros, you know? Maybe not every band I worked with, but all the guys all the rappers that were there were pros. And it was amazing. The same sounds that they were using then are the same sounds that you hear on these songs from TikTok. They are. They're just the same sounds. I mean, how many times can you hear those hi-hat rolls, those 808 hi-hat rolls? It's just, I laugh and I call it a cicada. And I see people refer to it as cicada hi-hat rolls. I made a video about this a couple years ago that had a really bad title, but it's a funny video. Type in cicada on my channel and you can find the video. And I took some of the songs that were big 2 years ago, and I put a cicada, some guy holding a cicada, and it sounds exactly, I did it in the video yesterday, it's that guy. It sounds exactly like the hi-hat rolls that they do. Now, not everyone did. Drake's song had simple 16th note rolls, right? He didn't do the fast 32nd note rolls. His was more appropriate and not as derivative sounding. But it's like, come on, guys, where's the innovation? Kendrick Lamar, his record is so innovative stylistically. And what do people say about it? Or the Thundercat song that I did recently, them changes in the, what was the video I did, Billy? What would we call that video? Musical Surprises, 13 Musical Surprises. Thundercat, Kendrick Lamar, these songs are super creative. Okay, you may not like rap, but these are amazing to me, right? They're really advanced. Some of the ideas, the harmonic things of Thundercat doing on the bass. I played the part there. I mean, these things are hard to play too. Kendrick Lamar going into double time with his almost like a samba beat with the drums. This is really, musically, whether you like it or not, it's not run of the mill, which is why people talk about them as being forward thinking. Okay. And I think that's the thing. You don't have to write the same songs. I mean, I don't know if people have the ability to write the songs like they wrote 30 years ago because they don't have the background in harmony. And I use harmony in particular, not melody. The harmony suggests the melodies because most people, virtually everyone that I've ever interviewed, from Joni Mitchell to Sting to whoever that I've interviewed, come up with the music first, and they write the lyrics to the music. Although Elton John had the lyrics first with Bernie Taupin. When I asked him, he said, I saw him. Bernie gave him the lyrics, and Elton would improvise and come up with it. He's the only person I can think of that came up with the lyrics first. Maybe Neil Peart did with Rush, and those guys came up with the music, but I don't think so. I don't know. I may be wrong about that. So you want to develop your, in order to have your songs be interesting, you need to have these surprises. And what kind of surprises? Well, I listed 13 different surprises, things that you can do for your music that can improve it. And if you go to my video and watch it, and you check out my ear training course, and you check out my Beato book, you can learn these things. You can learn how to take simple chord progressions and make them more interesting. And if you make them more interesting by putting some chords maybe from different keys, we call them borrowed chords. That's one of the things that's in there. And I use Kiss from a Rose as an example of the chord progression. E major to F sharp major to G sharp major. That G sharp major normally would be minor, but it's from a parallel key. It's the parallel major chord from the major key. Okay. And that grabs your ear and it leads his melody to a different spot. Okay. And that's the whole benefit of learning about things like this. I was laughing during the video. I said, man, I wish I missed the days of 1, 4, 5, and 6 when I was whining about that. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? Be careful what you wish for. These things are those kind of chord progressions that just over and over and over. 4 years ago, I made these videos on this. And you've seen these videos on YouTube about the 4 chords of pop music, and it's the same 4 chords over and over. Well, people stopped doing that, and they've gone down to 2 chords now. And there's no choruses or anything, really. There's no choruses. There's no hi-hat. Go check out Ringo Starr's drum patterns, his weird drum patterns that he did on Beatles songs. They're so inventive. They really are, from song to song, because the guys just didn't want to do the same thing all the time. Sting's music with the Police and the Police's music evolved over 5 records from 1978 to 1984. Evolved dramatically. You listen to Synchronicity 1 and then go back and listen to, Born in the 50s. Although Born in the 50s was sophisticated. It's like a no, it's a Truth Hits Everybody. Truth hits everybody. Truth hits everyone. I mean, it's amazing, right? With all these really, and that was simple for the Police. Then you get to things like Synchronicity 2. Every little thing she does is magic. With the verse in Lydian, or the bridge of, I talk about modulations, and the bridge of Every Breath You Take, when Sting is like, he's like, since you've gone, I've been lost without a trace. And so it goes from F minor to E major, complete modulation, throws your ear off. Then I did the Stevie Wonder Sir Duke, and I realized the chorus is like F minor to E major 7, so F minor to E major. Stevie Wonder uses in Sir Duke, which changes keys like 1,000,000 times, right? The verse. The second time. Then that anymore? No one, unfortunately. Maybe Bruno Mars does that. A few people do it. I see people like Jacob Collier here in the comments section, but Jacob Collier is not on the top of the pop charts. Stevie Wonder was. For whatever reason, sophisticated music doesn't connect with people because they're not used to hearing it anymore. And that's the real crux of this, right? So if people start hearing more sophisticated songs, if it's even possible nowadays, and I don't know if it's possible, I don't know. Maybe innovation is that it's the death of innovation or something, and people don't know how to innovate anymore. But this is why I make educational products that are to teach you how to become a better listener, a better, to teach you music theory. I have a section in my Beato book, chord progressions for songwriters, music theory for songwriters, how to take your simple chord progressions. What are the things you can do to make them more interesting? Because the more interesting your harmonic progression, your chord progression is, the more interesting your melody is going to be. There's a reason that Sir Duke has a great melody, because it changes keys all over the place. But Stevie Wonder was able to make it sound really melodic. Why? Because he's Stevie Wonder. That's why. Because he's spent years becoming a phenomenally great musician and can play every instrument. Why was Sting's songs great? Why did he have all these hit songs with the Police and as a solo artist? Because he spent years becoming a great musician and songwriter and learning music theory and all this stuff that he learned. Not that you have to know music theory to do this, but you at least have to have a great ear and taste. Because ultimately, this thing is taste. And how do you improve your taste? By becoming a better musician. That's how you can improve your taste, right? This is why I sell things here. This is why I wrote my Beato book, to teach people how music is put together, right? What chord progressions are, what triads are, what seventh chords are, how chord progressions work together, how to take chords, secondary dominant chords, borrowed chords, chords from mediant key, things like that Stevie Wonder's using all over here, and Sting is using all over here. They just know these things because they learned them from other songs and they incorporated it into their music. Or they just, I mean, Stevie Wonder is a jazz musician. Sting is a jazz musician. They understand how complex chord progressions went together. The Beatles knew 1,000 cover songs. Watch them on the live thing. Those guys could play any song that John Lennon would start playing or McCartney, they'd join in, and they never made mistakes because they were pros. That's the thing, they were pros. My ear training course teaches you how to hear these things. When I hear that Stevie Wonder, I hear them like, oh, yeah, B major. Oh, it goes to F minor. I can hear that the bass goes up a tritone, okay, from B to F. And I know that's going from a major chord to a minor chord. And I know the interval because I can hear intervals because I studied ear training. And my ear training course teaches you these things on how to hear intervals. This is all related here, right? This is how you improve your songs. This is how music improves, is by learning new things and innovating. Wow. And making art ultimately, because that's what you want to make is art. Yeah, it feels good to have a multi-million view video on TikTok, I'm sure. Actually, I don't know. I haven't had a multi-million view on TikTok, but I've had many, well over 100 multi-million view videos on YouTube. And the thing about TikTok, I have friends that are on there that like every 5th video or so, TikTok will blow up the video just out of the blue. They don't know why, but it's just to keep people on the platform making stuff for free so they can sell advertising. It's pretty simple. All this is about selling advertising. It's not about promoting great music. It's not about promoting anything. It's about advertising. This is why labels don't have to pay Spotify for chart placement. They don't. They're not going to pay money to give it away to the artists. What? They're not going to. It doesn't make money to pay money to make less money because the views are worth less money. Jeez. That was a good rant, really. Okay, you guys are amazing. Once again, if you're new here or you've watched my other videos and are not a subscriber, subscribe. Hit the subscribe button right now. Come out and see me at my show in Seattle. If you guys live out there in the Northwest or in LA, I'm going to be the links are in the description here. I'm in Seattle on August 6th. I'm in Los Angeles on August 20th. Go to my rickbeato.com. That's where you can find all my courses now. They're bundled together, so you save a ton of money. Thank you, everyone, for the super chats. You guys are incredible. Have a great weekend. We'll see you. Bye.